Hey guys, Kevin here. In my last video, I did mention that I used to build my own PCs. So I thought I would address that issue and explain why I started building PCs, why I stopped, and perhaps why in the future I might give it another try. When I first started, getting into computers, it was around when I started university. Bought my first PC in 1996. Now I had used PCs, and this was the first one that was my own. Disregarding the Commodore 64 and things like that in the past. This was my first PC and I just bought it outright. It's about £1,500. By today's standards, obviously the specifications were terrible, a Pentium 166. But what it was an introduction to owning a desktop PC and maintaining it and upgrading it. I started making a lot of changes to the computer, upgraded the RAM. I think I added a second hard drive. I remember adding my own sound card and things like that as well. So it kind of got me more into computers. I went from Windows 95, Windows 98 and all that as well. After that, when I needed to refresh the computer, I built my own PCs. And I started building my own PCs for years. I built some PCs for some friends as well. But there was some downsides to that later on, and it kind of led me towards stopping it. And frustrations, troubleshooting, convenience, all these kind of things were a problem. It first kind of came to light when I built a PC for a family friend, and I'd built a few other PCs. Building a PC saves you a lot of money, and I did it as a favour. Says I would build a PC for them, save them a lot of money from buying direct from a store, and everything went fine. I'd built a lot of PCs in the past anyway, but there was a problem with the build, and I can't remember what it was. I think one of the companies I bought it from in the UK, I believe it was a motherboard, and I think I was proven right on that, but they wouldn't take it back, and I think I had a credit card dispute, whatever, with it. Company, I can't remember who it was at the time. It was either Scan or Novatech or something, and they just said no. I think it was basically you get a motherboard sometimes arrive dead on arrival. So what happened was, it wasn't his fault, so I had to take it out of my own pocket, and obviously that's not good, because a motherboard can be expensive, and that was frustrating. Now I had troubleshooted PCs in the past anyway. I did have a lot of experience with it. Here's the thing: when you've got a computer, troubleshooting it isn't that difficult, really. It's really just a process of elimination. You test something, yeah, that works fine. Okay, that's not the problem. You test this, okay, that's not a problem, so it's not that. So, if your computer's running okay, or, you can switch it on, then you start with software, drivers, maybe the BIOS and things like that. If it's not those, then you would go towards hardware. Now, certain things you can get components easily. You can rule out a hard drive being the problem when it's fairly easy if you've got a second hard drive lying around. You can rule out RAM fairly easily, because if you don't have an extra RAM module, one of your friends probably does, or someone and they can take the RAM module out, put it into your computer, they can see if it runs, and then you can see whether the RAM is the problem. With my computer, I ran into some problems when I went travelling. And it was a really, really good build. It was a fantastic Cooler Master case. It was quite an expensive build. I spent a few £1,000s on it. And when I went away travelling, my parents said at the time the computer's not working anymore. Now, I was away for a year or something like that, so I didn't have to deal with it until I got home. There's obviously nothing I can do when I'm on the other side of the world. I went through a lot of tests when I come back, and I believe the first time... I can't remember which order it was, but I went through two issues. The first one was the power supply, and the second one was a motherboard. Now, the power supply, you might be thinking I've bought a cheap one, but I actually bought one of the most expensive ones at the time, and they just happened to have failed. And the power supply is one of those things that's hard to deduce, because, how are you going to get another power supply from someone else? The motherboard happened a while later, I believe, and that was something else that I had to replace, and it's very frustrating to have to go through everything because it's so hard to test, and it's always the last thing. Okay, it could be a motherboard, and it's expensive to replace it and things like that. When I come back, I had to deal with all that, and when it was time to buy another computer, and I thought, okay, I need to refresh, I bought an Asus gaming laptop. It still sits down there. Years later, I kept buying laptops, and I bought an iMac. The reason that I went down that route, of just buying a device that's all pre-built, was really convenience. It was because I think I just had a series of bad luck. In hindsight, that's what I had. I was quite unlucky. I had a year, I probably had about 7-8 years where I didn't have any problems with anything about, nothing at all. And then within a space of a year, I had a lot of problems, before I went traveling and after I come back traveling. And it was really just frustrating. Now, the thing is, when I was younger, obviously I had a little bit more time in my hands. But when you get older, time is something that you don't have much of. You don't have a lot of time for anything, really. And it became very, very time consuming to troubleshoot things, and a pain in the ass, really, because, when I had work to do for my websites, work that I had to do, for other people, or, just a lot on my plate, I really didn't want to sit for days on end troubleshooting things. It was driving me up the wall. And I loved the idea, and I still do love the idea of, when you buy something, be it a laptop, a pre-built computer, an iMac, and all in one, anything you buy, when it's built by a company and you've not created it, you can just send it back, and it's their fault. If something doesn't work and it's under warranty, they'll fix it and they'll give it back to you. And it does save, I've been through problems with that, HP, trying to fix that. But generally speaking, if the warranty is good, it does save you a huge amount of hassle. That is why I stopped building PCs. I'm sure a lot of people kind of went through the same kind of mindset as me. There are a lot of benefits to building a PC. Now, I'm thinking about doing it again. I'm not 100% set. I'm doing a little bit of research on it. As far as building a desktop goes, things have definitely changed. I mean, graphics cards look like the size of houses compared to when I was building PCs. They were just like tiny little PCI card slot type things. But now they're huge, absolutely huge, big fans in their own. There's a few things that have changed, but I'm sure by and large, the process of building a PC is the same. You buy a case, you put the motherboard on it, then you put the CPU on it, the graphics card, the hard drives, and then you put any other components you want, audio, all that kind of thing. So I'm sure I'll be okay with building my own PC. I will refer to guides, but if I decide to go down that route, I'm sure it'll be okay. It's whether I will or not, I'm not sure. The reason I've been looking at it is I'm thinking about getting a new monitor or a new monitor setup. I'm still looking at ultra wide versus 2 or 3 monitors, that kind of thing. And for a desktop would match that. Now, again, it comes down to convenience versus getting more for your money and getting something a little bit more personal. In the future, if I do decide to build my own PC, the reason that I would maybe go down that route would be because I can get the exact computer I want. I can get the exact case I want, the exact motherboard I want with all the inputs I want. I can get the exact graphics card I want. I can tailor everything to exactly what I need. I can also save a little bit of money. When you build a desktop computer yourself compared to just buying something outright that a company has bought for you, then you can save a huge amount of money. What another, kind of option 3, option C, option whatever, Trez. Third option would be to just hire a company to build it. There's a lot of companies out there, and they'll just let you pick the case, pick the motherboard, pick the CPU, pick everything, and they'll build it for you. Now, as far as I know, when companies do that, they will give you a warranty with that as well. So perhaps that is the best of both worlds. I won't save as much money by going down that route, but I might have a little bit of peace of mind. It'll save me the hassle actually building it. And, it's maybe the best of both worlds in that regard. I'm straying off topic a little bit, but really what I want to do was just kind of explain my thinking over the years as to why I, get into building PCs and why I stopped. Now, I think a lot of people have been down through the same process. When you start off, you realise how easy it is to actually maintain computers and laptops as far as upgrading RAM and things like that. It's not as difficult as you would think. But as you get older, time comes into it, money, convenience, and sometimes you're just happy to pay someone to take, to do the hassle, and peace of mind to be able to send it back. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this. I'll maybe touch upon this kind of subject in the future again, as far as building a PC and things like that. I'm sure it'll be interesting as well for my YouTube channel to do some videos on this and to do a build. But I'll need to have a think about it. Let me know what you think, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are on building a PC yourself, whether you prefer custom builds or whether you prefer to hire a company to build it for you, or whether you just like to buy something from Dell or HP or Acer or Asus or something like that. Let me know what your preference is, and until next time, thanks for watching.